right, good morning, everybody. It is Kelby here, joined by Drew and Tim. How you guys doing today?
Fantastic.
Good
Morning.
Good. It's been a while.
Yeah, we haven't done a Learn from Tim in a while since he just decides to leave for a month to go wherever he went.
Yeah.
I can go again.
Bye.
Just have to dust off a little bit.
Yeah. All right, so just got out of our morning meeting, which was a real good one. We might expand on that this morning because we're going to just ask one question to Tim, and then we're going to go from there. And the question is, what does it take to be a leader of an organization such as Armed Corps?
Leadership in listening. The biggest thing is, as a leader, you have to listen. You got to listen to everyone that you have in your company, and that basically is getting a feel of who they are and what they are, and how are they able to, or at least learn how you can teach them.
Mm-hmm. So how hard is it to do that? I mean, that's got to be difficult sometimes. What do you got to do to stop? Like, what do you got to catch yourself, the self-awareness to not become emotional when something comes up?
It is so hard to do. You feel that you have this position that you're way up here and you can speak when you want. Mm-hmm. You get and start listening to people. It takes a lot of patience. That you got to really basically talk to yourself by yourself and learn how to listen. Just think about that. If you're going to watch or listen to a radio, you're not really talking to it unless you say, "Hey, that song sucks." Mm-hmm. You're listening to it.
Yeah.
And you're hearing the words. So that's what you need to do, is keep training yourself to be patient and listen. It's hard. It is one of the hardest things of being leader, because we spoke about this old school concept of back in the day, 30 years ago, people were just yelling and dictating everything. And when you dictate, it tends to really get people underneath the skin, and then they leave, and then what they're doing, they're starting rumors. Mm-hmm. But if you listen, then the people have gone, wow, he did hear what I had to say. He means well, and it helps.
So you say listen, but what's the next step after that? Because you can listen to what they have to say, but what do you have to do next as a leader? Is it one ear in, one ear out the other?
No, you make a policy and procedure. So you know, as a leader, what your targets are. What's your vision? You got to share everyone your vision. And when you share that vision with everyone that has in a company, they see it. But if you dictate them to tell them how to do it, then they won't be able to do it that way, because you learn a different way. Mm-hmm. And you are comfortable with that way. But if you listen, you are listening to what they can do. So you listen to their plan, how they're going to do it. And it takes so much as a leader to learn from that. It's better than any book. You can read many, many books that tell you what to do and how to do it.
Yeah.
But you're learning from your people, and you're creating your own book. Mm-hmm. In leadership.
Mm-hmm. So do you, I assume, do you have an open door policy?
Yes, I do.
Do you encourage that for owners and leaders?
I definitely do. There's a time and a moment when you can say, hey, today I'm really busy. Let's set up an appointment, and then we can talk. Open door doesn't mean you have your door open. They can walk in anytime. Mm-hmm. I have my door open. People are welcome to walk in, but there are moments and times that we come into situations that we have to close that door. It's not like you're closing the door on someone, but you're thinking about your process. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What would you suggest to owners to limit or kind of barrier employees coming to you with just problems? Gossip, just complaints.
As an owner, you want to train leaders, and you focus on 20% of the people that you feel that could be good leaders. You do a training process with them, and then you make that chain of command. And that chain of command is, if someone really needs something, they typically will go to their superior. There are problems that happen that they feel that they don't need to go to the superior, and they can go to you. But you have to communicate to your people clearly on what you feel what open door policy is, because people were going to skip their superior and go around them and go to you because you said it's an open door policy. You have to explain what that open door policy is.
Set the standard.
Set the standard, and that's why I'm saying process of procedure. People will do and hit your targets with their own way of doing to their system. But if you're clear with communication and draw it out, people like the vision stuff, draw it out to them. And here, this is what you have. Shoot me an email. Shoot me a text. Hey, I'd like to talk to you if you have a few minutes. Explain that to them. It's still open door, but you have no problem on receiving an email or a text. When can we get together and speak? So if they surpass their superior and they come to me, I always want to ask them, what's going on? Listen to them, and then understand that once you're done listening, if it meets your qualification why they came to you, then it's good. But it doesn't, and there's something about a job or something that happened, then you ask them, well, why didn't you feel that you should go to your superior? So there's a lot of puzzles. There's pieces everywhere. And that's why I said listen. That's the only way you can put the puzzle together, is listen to the pieces and see how that works.
So you think it's justified sometimes for someone to come directly to you?
I do.
Yeah.
But the only way you're going to get that justification is to listen to them.
And do you encourage them to evaluate the situation themselves and come up with a solution and bring that back to you?
Yeah, I don't want to hear problems. If problems come to me, there's all kinds of systems and solutions that they can come up with before they come to me. But that's teaching and that's training. If you don't teach, you don't train and do what we were supposed to as leaders, then we have failed as leaders. We have to train. We have to communicate. We have to teach. And they have to understand that. And once you get them to say, yes, I do understand this process, then you as a leader have succeeded.
Yeah. So what do you do when you have multiple things on your plate? Obviously being an owner and a leader of a company, you've got all kinds of things to worry about. So how do you navigate that?
Well, I've learned so many times that being proactive, the situations, sometimes people react too quickly. I've done it myself. And when you're an owner, you have to put all the perspectives. What could happen, you'll never know what things can happen. There's been a few things that happened at us you never expect it would happen. But you got to sit back and you got to relax and feel what is in order to write down things. You can make one simple mistake to react so quickly on something that happened. And then people look at you of reaction. If you show your reaction of panic, moodiness, people tend to feed off of that. So it's basically a training, like working out. It's a mental workout process, and you have to lay it out. So if you're going to do a dumbbell press, you're going to have to do it right, and you're going to have to learn that you can only do it with 10 pounds, and then you work yourself up to the 40-pound or whatever. The same with your mind. And in leader, you have to work slowly on it, learn from it, and that's what creates you to be a good leader.
Yeah. So micromanaging, when you're a leader, you have a 40,000, 30,000, whatever, how high you want to say a foot view. You have a view of the whole picture, but at what point do you take it upon yourself that you got to come down? I mean, you jumped out of planes. At what point do you need to jump out of that plane to come down and not necessarily micromanage, but when things are out of control and people are losing control, like the people you've put in the roles under you, at what point do you think that needs to happen sometimes, and how or what do you need to do?
That's an outstanding question, and basically I'm glad you asked it, because when you have leaders underneath you, you're training them, and they come to you, and you say, hey, here's my target. Don't tell them how to do it. Let them come to you with a plan. Okay, so you get reports, you hear things, it's not hitting the target. That's when I come down. I'll come down to say, hey, this process that you've created is not working. Let's get together and tweak it. There's a lot of times that I've seen many owners that I worked for and leaders that would just absolutely freak out and go completely around the leaders that they have and go down to the start of the whole thing and jump in.
Mm-hmm.
That's dictatorship. If you don't keep yourself in repetition, just like working out or anything else, you're going to screw up something. And that's what happens. You lose respect. As soon as you go around that situation and you're reacting, it's that respect.
Mm-hmm.
So you're pulling them. It's in military, same way. Your commander is telling you what to do. This is my target. You come up with a process. You get and take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
Something happens. They all come back and they say, hey, this did not work. And you're going, understood. So you come down to their level, let's say the 30,000 foot level. What can we do to make it better? What can we tweak on your plan to hit this? And that's where you go.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they can't it happens again, then you grab that 30,000 foot level and you go down to the 20,000 foot level and you're talking to the people.
Yeah, that's a great concept because, I mean, ground level, obviously, that's where it all happens. I mean, that's where the action's at. This is a great concept. Now I'm having this vision, so you have different levels, that chain of command. If you just go straight to the ground and try to take over, I mean, you just skipped all of those levels of understanding what's going on there. Like, you got to start at the next level down, bring them along with you, and it makes sense.
Yeah, because if you do that, then why have other people? If you're going to keep running and dictating and micromanaging, why hire other people? Why put other positions?
Well, why have a company? Because I'd say after that, at that point, you're not going to have a company.
No, because people are going to leave.
And because they're not going to trust you.
That's how you become a leader. Mm-hmm. It's getting the respect from your people. Learn in repetition how to get respect.
Yeah, that's good. You got anything right now?
I was going to say, I've been reading Relentless by Tim Grover, and he's been saying a leader he calls it a cleaner. You are the one to step up and know the solutions and not always ask the questions. And if you're at that 30,000, you're above that 30,000 level, and you're the cleaner, you got to go back down. In a cleaning process, you take steps, like you've been saying. So a cleaner has to come back down and handle situations that are dirty or not going well. And then you have to go to the next level and handle those situations. But you have to be open to hearing suggestions and the people who are trying to solve that solution. You have to understand where they're coming from, because you are up there very high and you see everything, but you're not in the midst of everything. So when being a cleaner, you have to be very precise on what you need to clean.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, because when I was thinking about that earlier, is like every level has a leader at it.
Mm-hmm.
Even the ground level has a leader at it. So it's like if you jump over all that and just try to go to the bottom level, you've completely lost respect and you've completely lost everything from those guys in between you, because what's the point of having them there?
Right.
You got to go to that next level down and see what's going on with that leader. And he's got to do the next thing. Like, obviously you don't want the saying I love is you got to handle things at the lowest possible level. If you can handle it at ground level, good. If you need to go up one level, get them involved. Effective communication. But that leader has to do that going down. Like the person under you, Josh, he can't go jump down to ground level because he's not at ground level. So he's got to do those same procedures and everything that you have. And I mean, that's a great concept. This whole jumping out of an airplane in different levels is kind of cool.
Well, I think as a leader, people go to you. You want people to come to you to solve solutions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is what you are. And I think being a bad leader, I mean, you can just tell if no one's coming to you for the solution, then what are you doing there? Mm-hmm. Why are you even leading?
I look at that, and that's true. But as a leader, if they keep coming with you with problems, then you're not leading well. because what they're coming to you, they're afraid to make the solution.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be afraid of what you say and how you say it. What's good about this is if you learn how to delegate to the leaders below you and let them plan it
Mm-hmm.
at that certain level, from ground to 20 to 30 and up to you, you're allowing and taking a lot of things off your plate.
Mm-hmm.
When you're taking things off the plate, you're able to handle the situations that come up bigger than where they're at.
Yeah.
That's the point I've been trying to get at this whole time is you hear it and see it a lot. A leader, they just see something isn't going the way they wanted it to be, so they just take over.
Yeah.
They just do it themselves. And that's where that, I guess, micromanaging type, whatever, you go to that level and you just take care of it. Like, you cannot do that. You have to empower the person under you. Let them know, like, I'm here for your help. I'm here for your guidance. I'll equip you with the proper tools, but you have to experience this to learn. If you want to become the best leader, the leader above you has to empower you and trust you, because then you will trust them and you will give them 100%. But being above someone and being a great leader, not a dictator, is empowering them, laying it out for them, giving them that task, that mission, and then allowing them to suffer through that. Because suffering in life, it's not a bad thing. You learn. Yeah, the suffering may not be the best word, but it's true. You've got to experience those feelings, those issues that, well, how else are you going to learn without getting it through yourself? If a leader above you just comes down and does it for you, you didn't learn. So I think it's a great concept.
And that's what Drew's saying, is that you want them to be able to come to you. If they've never ran into that problem before, what kind of leader, their superior is the leader, they can go to him and say, hey, I need help. But if they're afraid of what he's going to say, or that person, or he or she is going to say, they won't come. And then all of a sudden now you've created a rumor. And then you've said, I can't work here. Mm-hmm. Allow that. Allow them to come to you. I've never ran into this before. I need some assistance. There is nothing wrong with that.
How do you build that trust? Like, how do you build that for someone to feel comfortable coming to you?
Listen. If you keep talking, and that's why I've learned so much. I never used to listen. I thought, wow, I'm a leader. I got this. I'm now a senior project manager, and now I can go tell these guys what to do. Mm-hmm. You lost respect, mm-hmm. because you think that you know everything. And that's what I'm saying, is that the people that come below you might know a little bit more. So you listen. Like
I just said, those guys out in the field are on the ground level.
Exactly.
They know exactly what is going on. They see it. They hear it. They just know it. And the guys in the office, like a project manager, it may get communicated, and that's where you have subordinates under you that are and they need to also be effective with their communication, so the project manager can best understand and help out as much as possible. But it's not subordinate coming with a problem saying and just complaining to where it becomes a rumor and all that. It's them coming saying, this is my problem. I have a feeling I know what we can do to fix this, but I need your help and your guidance as a leader to work together to do this. Then it's not the leader jumping down and says, oh, whatever, like, let me just do it.
And that creates bad attitude.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're explaining things, leaders have to be good communicators. They have to draw it out. They have to clearly understand that the people they're talking to is that they clearly understand it. Because I can be in training situations, and you're sending down to your squad leader. You got two squad leaders. You got right flank, left flank. And if you're a leader and you just go, hey, bust down that door in that building, that's where they're coming from, where they're shooting from. Mm-hmm. So you send it down to them. They go out, right flank, left flank, bust down the door, but they didn't realize there was two doors. Left flank busts down that door, right flank busts another door, and they're shooting at each other. It's just the clarification of what you're explaining. Mm-hmm. It's always can happen.
Yeah.
And that's what happens in business. And you want them to respect you by you communicating and listening to them. Mm-hmm. It is very important. Do not dictate, but if something gets really serious, that's where your policies and procedures work.
Yeah.
If they don't follow for what you have done for them, then you make that adjustment.
So you're saying your number one concept, and it makes a lot of sense now hearing it when you think and talk through it is just listen. Leadership is listening with an open mind to that point, not a closed mind saying, he doesn't know what he's talking about. You may sit there and have the wisdom as a leader and know it in the experience, but you might learn something. And have you ever learned something from a subordinate that you thought you knew?
I learned a ton. I learned how they are. You hear about people that take all these tests and what kind of person they are, whether they are melancholic, all that stuff out there. That's on paper, and that's what they're filling out. Sometimes they're asking questions. They can't even figure out what they are. Mm-hmm. But if you sit down and listen to them, you know how you're going to be able to approach them. And that's where it's important. You're listening to what they have to say. And then you clearly understand it. And then I'm not going to be able to tell him this way. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be able to talk to him that way. Mm-hmm. And that's how you get to learn about your people. But what's important is that when you grow and then you have leaders underneath you, understand that you have to train that same process, because they might have a different attitude of way and they're approaching. But then you got to tell them, learn how to listen. Mm-hmm. Then you create that. And then now you're down into your 20,000 foot level. You've grown this tree up. And where you start in business, you start from the ground. And that's where you start from. And as you're growing your tree, now you're the star on top of the tree, because you've triangly went down to each level. Mm-hmm. And it starts by listening. Mm-hmm. And it starts communication.
Yeah. It almost seems there's two parts to communication, speaking and listening. And it's as you go up that chain of command, it seems like more and more you're going to be doing a lot more listening. And then the people under you are doing the speaking, communicating to you, because that's one of our core values is effective communication. Stating it clearly, just being effective, because you always have that communicate. Okay, well, how effective is it? And that's just that listening part is a huge part of leadership. And I like that.
It's a challenge for yourself.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, it's when I put myself in it as a parent. I mean, you always want to tell your kid no, like, and get on to him and stuff. And I catch myself doing that sometimes. But these things can be applied. Leadership is through all aspects of life. Like, you're a leader in your home, you need to listen to your kids because they don't understand what you want. And that's another thing is like that subordinate under you doesn't understand what you understand or know what you know. So listening is huge. And then you may learn something from them. I might learn something from my kids. I learn from my kids all the time, especially like you saying that old school versus new school. We've got to have an open mind, and you have to listen. And that leadership, I did not expect you to say that today, is listening is that number one thing.
Yeah. I have two things.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people in business nowadays who are at the bottom level or even in the mixed in between and just coasting through, there is so much opportunity to take initiative to be their own cleaner and leader of their work. Just because you have a leader doesn't mean you can't be a leader of what you're doing. And that'll show the leaders above you that you care about this business and you love seeing your owner successful. I wouldn't want to work for a broke owner. I wouldn't want to work for someone who doesn't have any money. So as that person, being your own cleaner and solving your own solutions before you can't go any farther, that's when you need to jump the gun to ask your initiative leader what's the best solution. And if they don't know, that it goes up the chain. But my other point is when you're at the star level like you are right now, and you see things going not how you taught it at the ground level, I feel like you have to start seeing where the leadership went differently of how you taught it. Like which leader that you created is going away from what you said to do, to listen. There might be a leader down there that's not listening, and there's like a little stir up down there.
But couldn't that be almost that it's that it brings up another attribute I think a leader should have is learn.
Yeah.
So like you're bringing that point up, and you might think something is going wrong down there where you see it messing up, but what if it's going right a lot better than what you had taught? So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off or say something but I guess we shouldn't automatically assume if something's going wrong down there, it's because they're not listening to me. Maybe they're doing something different that's better, a better solution.
And
So yeah, go ahead and continue. What
Well,
you're saying.
I get where you're coming from, but if there's something that is like drastically not working between the leader and their subordinate, there you have to see like what is that leader doing that they don't like, or maybe it's just the subordinate that it doesn't like being successful or doesn't like craving. But I feel like you have to drop down to that level to be like, what's the situation? What is my leader that I created doing wrong, or what is my leader trying to solve? Like, how can I help them get through their tasks?
It's all about training.
Yeah.
It could have been my fault.
Right.
Did the training go clearly how I did it? The person that is below that leader is going to be completely different. And then I'm going to have to ask that leader, what is the situation we're in? Well, that subordinate is probably complaining and not wanting to do this because the training that was there wasn't the right way of training it. So go to them and say, hey, well, how would you do this? Ask them that question. Always ask questions and listen. There's two parts of this. So after you listen to somebody, then ask them the questions. What do you feel that could be done better than? And then say, well, I like it, would do it this way. Okay. That's why me as an owner, all I have is a target. I'm not going to tell anybody how to do whatever they do because they throw something different to it. They shoot differently to it. Just hit my target. When you start seeing the misses, then you go down a little bit and see, hey, he said that this is working. So once they have their plan and they're still missing it, then they clearly understand that, wow, my way isn't working. So that's that fail part, that somewhere in between, the leader of that subordinate could be teaching them wrong or not listening to them. So you're going to pick it up very quickly because you're using that measuring tool.
Right. And that's a perfect example of a leader being a cleaner, going back down and like, hey, there's a messed up situation right here. Who's right? Who's wrong? Why are we having this controversy? And you went back down to that level to clean up that situation and listen.
Yep.
So,
and it's exactly right. All you are is a dustpan. And when you're a dustpan and you have to pick up something, you're just going to sweep it along, right? So you clean it up. It's a perfect concept, but you're measuring it. How much dirt was it? Was it really a lot? Or was that dirt caused by the leader of that subordinate? So you're going to know that because that communication, you're going to listen to both sides of the story. And that's when you say, this is facts. You can't blame that guy that's on the ground.
No, that's a good leader is taking responsibility.
Exactly.
For their actions and anything that's going wrong, taking the full responsibility and doing what's right and fixing it.
The best thing for an owner and a leader, the owner as a leader, is to minimize the people that you have underneath you that come to you. Don't have everyone come to you. Have a few. Then you're going to be able to measure that part because you're just going in that level. That's what helps me. Levels.
How do you, speaking of measuring, how do you know when it's the time to measure to go down and like find out what's going on? I mean, is there got to be like how many times do you notice that the target's been missed?
Once a month. So everyone usually has reports. And you can usually catch, let's say January, you look at the report, you're going, man, it's going down a bit in certain areas. Maybe your budget's going over already, or your profits went down, or your labor's a little bit higher, or you see where the budgets were, the cost of dates. So these project managers are turning cost of dates. You measure that. It's just a measurement tool. You see it's up or down. But when you see the next month, already knowing what January was, and you go into February, you're starting to see this a little bit more. Then you know that something's going on. But you're going to prep yourself out in the middle of February. So if you're prepping yourself and seeing if that adjustment, because they always are having, the adjustments are going on every month. So you're 12 times a year. You're measuring it. But you know sometimes there's other things. So you just ask the question. Go to your leader to your 30,000 foot and say, hey, where's this drop?
Yeah. So do you convey, is that target just for you to see, or is that clearly communicated and conveyed for everybody else to see?
Everyone sees that target.
So you set that target, and then you expect everybody below to create the steps that they're going to take to hit that target.
That's their own step.
And that's part of leadership.
That's part of leadership. That is their own step. But if their own step don't work, you'll see it. You'll see it every month. Mm-hmm. Can you catch it weekly? Well, that's one of the leaders that see that every week, because you have 2 week look aheads from ground. Got to remember, your ground is the one that's pounding it.
Yeah.
The ground is always the one starting it. And if you have the superior looking at what's going on with the ground, you got 2 leaders working together. Hey, we need to find out what's going on. Mm-hmm. Is this guy sitting down? Is he not pushing your subs, or not, pushing the product quick enough? That's where you can see it, because it will show.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
And sometimes people say numbers are numbers. You can make them whatever they are. And if they ever say that, then you got an issue, because you can't.
Yeah.
That's just saying that you can squash that down.
Yeah. Well, shoot. You guys got anything else? I mean, you could say, is there any really other, I think we hit a lot here. We can summarize, but is there any other concepts or anything that you would really want to highlight to be a leader?
I've had so many concepts from reading so many books, from John Maxwell to Collins to Good to Great, and they all, in some kind of chapter of their book, have said something. I read The Run with Relentless.
Mm-hmm.
There's something there. Take a piece out of it. But then as you read the book, there are something in every book. It's the same.
Yeah.
So I had to create that, and you create your own way of doing it. And I'm saying, okay, this is my chapter.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I can take from it. And I've learned so much from it. I've learned from so many leaders. I've learned from bad ones, and I've learned from good ones. Mm-hmm. And that's what it takes, growth.
Yeah, that's great. So, I mean, overall, the summary is just, to be a great leader, listen with an open mind at that. I mean, you can listen, but it could go in one ear out the other, but you got to have an open mind and be there to, you also set the target for which, I mean, it's your company. I mean, this is what you've built from the beginning. So that target's there that you set, but then you trust and empower the people under you at those different levels, all the way down to the ground. They're empowered to take the steps necessary to hit that target. So, I mean,
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I agree.
Awesome. Well, if you guys don't have anything else, we can wrap this up. Drew, you usually say it the best, where to follow us and
if you want to follow us, there is a link in our description of either Spotify or YouTube. We are on all podcast platforms. You can email questions. Please do that to Drew or Kelby at armcorpinc.com. Armcorp Inc. is ARMCORPINC.com. And you could actually ask questions in the comments. We are on YouTube, so comment anything you want to. On Facebook, Instagram, just follow the link tree and you can get to anything you want to see. So,
and we did have a giveaway we got to discuss and figure out who won that today. I forgot to do
we
that.
We have a giveaway, and then we
did you know about that?
We have another giveaway next.
I guess I didn't listen very well.
Next quarter, yeah.
Next quarter, yeah.
We appreciate everybody being patient and participating in that. So, yeah, just continue to help us spread the knowledge that we're providing. We want to learn. We want you guys to learn. We want you guys to win, just as a community, as everybody, as a collective. So,
yeah,
I appreciate your guys' time today. So we'll wrap this one up. You guys have a good one.
Yeah. Share the show so we can grow.
Outstanding.